I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, and I was kidnapped in 1941, brought to Moulton, Alabama, and given the name of a twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey. And I married Childers. This is me in 43, brought here in 41, born in 1939. Now, this family is dressed up. They had no cars. Their clothes certainly weren't like this, and you don't see the pigsty shack and home they had. But most of all, how cruel, very cruel they were. Lina Dempsey killed her twins. They were born out of wedlock. And Carl, she killed right away. So I think they were about at least a year older than my birth. And Peggy was killed a week or 2 weeks before JFK, and his father helped in my kidnapping. So the real Peggy was killed about a month or 2 months. A week or 2 weeks before they put me there and gave me her name, and she was actually fed to the pigs. So this was all planned. Roosevelt. I've said this. I'm getting to something else here. Roosevelt appointed Joe Kennedy as ambassador to England in 1936. Listen to the dates. To 46, they kicked him out. And this is supposed to be the Queen Mom, Elizabeth's mom, who's a Rothschild. And this is George looking like he's just the honor person when really he took down his own brother, kidnapped his niece, me. Edward VIII never married Wallace Simpson. A double did. And there was just one of them, the doubles. And my father was always married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, Windsor. And my mom was actually the Queen Mom, not this woman. They're illegal. They should have been before war tribunal, but then the people that kidnapped me and that they're a part of, the Illuminati, or Mafia is a good name for it, control the Netherlands where the war crimes are prosecuted. And Henry Kissinger is one of the main people. You think they're going to prosecute themselves? Heck no. Bunch of murdering thieves. I should know. They've done it enough. I'm going to show this only because I can't get an attorney. This is Diana, and that's William's mother. And she is not the marriage. Let me put it this way. William is not a legal heir. She was not entitled to anything from the money because it was stolen from me, any part of it. And here she is with Gloria Allred, an American model, Kelly Fisher, Dodie Fayad's former girlfriend, with her lawyer, Gloria Allred. Fisher threatened to sue Dodd for breach of contract after the publication of the famous kiss photo of him and Diana. Now then, there's a question as what was done with the money when the illegal Duke of Windsor, the imposter, died. And Wallace lived there a long time, and she got all kinds of gifts. She lived in luxury, and I've heard, like Madonna made that movie. It's a total lie about the poor thing. She never got to be queen as she should have been. She's a phony. She married a phony. She's an American spy. What happened to all that money? It was my understanding, and I may be wrong, but all that money should be to me, because to give it in the name of the Windsors, that's not my father, but that's who he was posing of. It should have been mine too. And it was divvied out and things auctioned off. And I don't know, I heard say that Fayad, some of his family got it. You know, the whole thing has been passed around, and it's totally ludicrous. But this is my dad, and I'm going to get to and Claudia Ruth O'Keefe's sister, Georgia, who's my aunt. And this is Larry Flint. I'm getting to this. He's talking about his shooting in Lawrenceville, Georgia. I was doing a book in Marietta about mind control murders and programming people to shoot. And this was, he helped me in a campaign, and this was an article, an endorsement came out April of '84. Now, this is my Uncle George, and I may have put that up. He's here with supposedly the Queen Mom, which is Elizabeth's mom, and that's a lie, and with Roosevelt, who appointed Joe Kennedy ambassador. Thus, JFK used to fly in during the time I was born and kidnapped. This is 1939 when this was made, so they were planning my kidnapping then. And I've put all this up if you care to go back and look at what I was saying. Here's one of the mind control murders. I was just going to show it that was done in pattern. It's Gabby Gifford, who was a congresswoman. She was married to Mark Kelly, the twin to Scott Kelly. They're astronauts, and a lot of this is about NASA in Huntsville that began in supposedly in '56, and I was brought about 45 miles from there to Moulton, Alabama. And thus you had Von Braun that was brought in there, a good man, a decent man, and he didn't deserve what happened to him. I wanted to put this up here. I was listening to one of the talk shows last night that you still get a little bit of the truth, but this doesn't. None of the Americans, they want to say that their president was assassinated, and oh, how awful that can happen. This man, John Kennedy, and Robert, and their father, and their whole family it never stopped, helped. First of all, they helped in my kidnapping and bring me over here and taking down my father, Edward VIII, with character assassination. So I wanted to just put this up. The Congress here is going after more of Alabama, and God knows enough was done to me in Alabama. It's never been prosecuted. I hope that Sessions, who's now the Attorney General, would help he and Trump. But anyway, there's a lot going on about their and it's bad if he did do that. But, the press has totally had a blackout on me. You should see every month my life has been hell and crimes committed against me. And they're still ongoing and never addressed. I wanted to put this up. Larry Flint sent me, I was out there in the campaign in '83 to replace Larry McDonald. And when the plane KAL went down. Now then, I was listening to the program last night, and it was one that the programs, I think Clyde Lewis, that still get a lot of truth on the program. None of the others do. Coast to Coast tells some. It's The People versus Larry Flint was a movie that came out, and I was out at Mr. Flint's, and he showed me the parody about Jerry Falwell that he was going to put in Hustler magazine. I didn't know at the time because I just met him. I knew it was mind control murder, that the shooter was programmed, but I didn't know why I had never met him till the campaign in '83. And he showed me the galley proof, and I wondered why. Well, later, he furnished me a car for a year, and then I was left with no money, couldn't get a job, etc. I did work for Ron Ziegler in '84 after this was printed. By the way, he was the good guy in this whole Watergate everything. He was the good guy, let me put it that way. Okay, I'm just going to jump to this. So Larry Flint ends up here in Roanoke, and I'm in Roanoke later, I guess. I'm trying to think. I'm up on the mountain, I believe. I came here in '86. I had to go up there to have a place to live and starve and freeze. So I put all this up. So someone came up there. Now then, here's what happened. He had to have been here in the POF building, the federal building, the courthouse, when Jerry Falwell sued him about the parody. And I was up on the mountain, so people use that, well, why didn't he at least come up there to see about you, They always, and everything I've tried to tell, because they don't want to hear it. The Americans don't. I don't know, and they try to pick it to death so that they always attack it with a negative. Okay, well, why didn't he come up to the mountain and get you down, and etc.? Not that they should be helping me. Okay, now I'm going to turn this around real quick. And I'm just going to finish it with this. That's the way the whole thing's been carried out. In the movie, first of all, a man came up there, and it's January, a couple of days before the movie's supposed to be released, and it was released here in Roanoke, Virginia, on my birthday, or at least the one I have to go by, January the 7th. And the release date was the 10th of January of 97. And it was released here, one of the first releases. And I wanted, Woody Harrelson played Larry Flint in the movie. And I wanted, this man was telling a little bit about this on his program, only that the part about, he's talking about JFK. Well, Lee Harvey Oswald was programmed, Jack Ruby was too, and I've already put that up. But well, I thought I had this in order here. I guess I don't. Woody Harrelson's father, they were telling about this last night, and I'll just read what little bit I put down. Well, I Googled it. You can Google it. Woody Harrelson that played Larry Flint, and then Edward Norton, I believe, played the attorney that was killed. I'm not sure, or his attorney. But anyway, Woody Harrelson, and I like Woody Harrelson as much as I know about him, which isn't a lot. He played on Cheers, and I know he was in the movie. But Woody Harrelson's father was, well, some say he was part of the JFK shooting in Dallas. Okay, Charles Harrelson died 3/15 of 07. He was an American organized crime figure, so they say, and who was convicted of assassinating a federal judge, John H. Wood Jr. And Woody Harrelson's hitman father kidnapped and murdered. I don't know, I forgot how they murdered him. Could Woody Harrelson's hitman father have assassinated JFK? Well, I think that's all I've got down there. You know, even on this program last night, they were talking about JFK's murder would go the real truth untold. Well, I've told it over and over. But it's okay for the United States, even those few that are telling, well, anyway, they don't want to hear about taking down a monarch and kidnapping the real monarch and bringing me over here and torturing me and my children who are heirs after me. That doesn't matter that you took down a king, because he wouldn't go along with the Illuminati. He wouldn't take orders from him. Totally opposite of how you Americans, and part of my own family, and Winston Churchill, etc. If the truth's told, it's such a bloody mess. It's so corrupt. And here this woman can get an attorney, and I can't. And now there was something else going to slip my mind here. I was looking, Googling this morning, and they were talking about Larry Flint and the movie. And they were saying, even if you don't like him, and then I thought, my God, you walk in my shoes 1 minute and you see these self-righteous hypocrites walking around pretending to be good. Larry Flint would be a saint. And I mean that. And I don't like pornography. I never have. Plus, I don't like murderers and thieves and killers and kidnappers. And no, it wasn't okay, America, to take my father and do the things you've done to him, lies through history, and to my mom, who was an American, to me and my children. And I don't like what you did to my country. You invaded us. And when you took down my dad and kidnapped me, you invaded my country and used it to take over, put your military there and take over everything, make Great Britain fight against its own best interest, because you got me over here. And I'm the real monarch the day I was born because my father had an addendum. It was legal that stated if he had an heir, the heir would inherit. And the day I was born, I'm Victoria II, the legal heir, the legal queen. And Elizabeth is a criminal of mass. She's part of the Illuminati. They have her. She works for them. And so does the rest of the brood there, her children and siblings that they have. So when William is going to Google, by the way, my account was took down briefly when I put this up about, I won't put it say it again, but I put it up about Roanoke here, about his mom, a model, was modeling the gowns, Diana's, and I'm living up on the Appalachian Trail. No food, no having to go and bring in water a lot of the times, which meant up and down mountains and on my back having a gallon of water. I really, if you ever get to see, the world is, and they may not care. I think there are people in the world that would care. If you ever saw what was done to me, and the Americans don't like JFK's murder going untold, well, I've told it. I was working at Fred Simpson's, the district attorney in 80, living at Warren House. So anybody can put together what's happened to me. I was put in jobs that held clues to my identity that I later found out in late 83, as in the Warren Commission, and District Attorney Fred Simpson, as Wallace Warfield Simpson was supposed to marry my father, and he had nothing to do with it. So now that I'm listening, there's some things coming to light about Anderson Cooper. They have told so many lies about my father. They had my father going to bed with every thing going on. It was a total lie. One of them was his mother that was involved in all the slander and stuff. Now they're saying he worked for the CIA briefly, but does briefly mean you just think he doesn't still work for them? CNN certainly had information way back when I was almost killed in 80, and when I had a letter from the FBI, and my husband then was going around with me, although I think sometimes he would come in suddenly and try to sabotage me. But then he worked for the CIA too, I found out later. And that's all I'm going to put up. I didn't mean, I hope I haven't hurt Woody Harrelson, because I like him. I have nothing against him. I don't know that his father was responsible in any way for shooting JFK. But I wanted to put that up because Woody Harrelson played Larry Flint in the movie. Now then, when I was out on the Appalachian Trail, and I went there totally to have a place to be other than the side of the road and subject to getting run over, raped, and killed, and walking in the hot sun in the winter, sliding around on the ice, trying to get from here to there, trying with no money, trying to find my sons. So I was up there on the mountain, and well, that wasn't fun, and I'm going to leave it at that.